the camp plan, stare decisis, and then discount.
He says, who has a better ontology? This means if we win any risk on this page or other pages that we have a better form of ontology than we win the basis of the Cantor Plan solves. Obviously, is banking is to win our strategy on this. If we win any risk with the Cantor Plan, does not solve a part of the 1AC we should win the debate because they have not sufficiently dealt with the 1AC. Obviously, said the interpretation of unity is arbitrary. It is the unity of the human race. We do not have to talk about insects. Those examples are ridiculous. The belief that all of us participate as one, we participate together as one. And one example of the things that cannot happen when we participate as one is the abortion, because we have to believe that life has started, so we can the possibility of enriching our community. Our confident evidence is very good on this question. They say the 1AC ethics are invented because one either cannot, or wait, even if they win this argument that unity is arbitrary, they don't have an alternative ethic of ontology, which means you should at least prefer ours. Say the 1AC ethics are invented and people cannot accept them. They were invented in the sense that we wrote our 1AC, but we wrote a good one and our arguments are persuasive. This is not sufficient enough to reject the affirmative. They have to have a reason that our invention is bad. Our confidence on our race and our habit as evidence and all of our 1AC evidence is a reason that our belief in unity is good because it includes origin and because violence is origin, which is not a bad invention. They say that ethic is ethic is selfishness. This is inevitable. Any system of thought thinks itself to be true, so to be negative. The 1A, just because the 1AC does that, we have a good reason their arguments are good. They say that we are the opposite of selfishness. This is our common evidence that the self does not exist in the 1AC framework. Rather, we obliterate the possibility or the conception of the self as isolated, the belief that we exist as one, and other people can tell us what to do with our bodies because we affect them, and we believe that that is how we exist in the world. They say we don't solve capitalism, Native Americans, etc. Said the common evidence is very good that the ontology of unity eliminates the capitalist ontology of exchange. There is no distinction between mind and thine in a body where we participate. This frame, even if it is not the plan that solves it, the framework through which you evaluate it does enable the eradication of this form of thinking. We're talking about a new way of thinking. All this, and they said another calculation debate. They say that does not link to the rash evidence. The extinction claim links to the rash evidence. This will be explained more thoroughly on the business confidence debate. They say nuclear war. We all die in painful ways. All death is painful. The fact that you die, it hurts. It hurts does not make your life any worse. What matters is that it matters that you play in life. You can place something on earth while you're here that is beautiful because life is finite. Death is inevitable. You cannot quantify the suffering. He says that if you are not consequentialist, you are destructive. He's not giving specific examples of how this is true. He say this is my idea of how the world is. This is hilarious. The dissat is an imposition of how the world is, and it is consequentialism an imposition of how the world is. This is what you do. That you have to think consequentially, etc. He's also not linked to consequentialism. He can see that we are not deontology, which is the one he is criticizing. Rather, we are criticism notion of deontology. We have also not proven what a consequence is, which means that we can concede all this evidence and still win because we have different consequences than you do, but you can still evaluate them. And they've also not answered the ontology arguments. I'm not going to answer this because the argument is that we solve violence at the origin, which means we solve the impact to your calculation arguments. Violence cannot happen at all because we believe that we participate with one another. This is a different question. We're going one level deeper now. The Cantor Plan. The Cantor Plan says something the 1AC, even if our act was about abortion, wouldn't solve a woman would contest the Cantor Plan in a lower court and win. This is our Shapiro or Meyer-Sassano evidence. The Bowen was Flores' decision to prove that Congress cannot rewrite the substantive guarantee of the Constitution to include fetuses within the concept of human to any attempt would be struck down. He says it doesn't violate the Constitution. There is no warrant, just an explanation, just an evidence. You shouldn't read it. And the AF is also not concerned with the right to the fetuses. The Cantor Plan is impacted by the 1AC and our Howarth evidence. We cannot concern ourselves with life, to whether life starts with blastocytes or implantation states. Life cannot be the supreme political value. This obscures our obligation to bear witness to the kingdom of heaven. We must believe that life has started. There are things in the world worth dying for, and framing abortion in terms of the right to the fetus continues the unending cycle of atomized violence and obliterates the possibility that we exist as one. And see some places that even if you solve the abortion of the 1A part of the 1AC, you cannot overrule the mystery passage of the congressional act to rule that we have no right to define our concept of existence and incoherent concepts of the 2AC is instructive. I think he has conceded that there is no way to sustain the congressional act. If somebody challenged that act, for example, by attempting to get euthanasia, they would win because the Casey decision guarantees its right for them. This is literally incoherent. Also, all of our 1AC evidence is highly specific to the right granted after the Casey decision, so you should default after this question. And also what the 1AC is about. There's no 2-hour answer. This all of our evidence is about obliterating the mystery passages, which is what clears the space for atomized violence and obliterates the possibility for that unity. Also, examine Goldstein evidence that the court is key because the court does not order society like the Congress does, but rather the court speech censor. The court tells us stories. Those stories simultaneously construct our conception of morality, which is the only possibility of correct moral relativism, because it can say this is what believes to be true and good. Also, and even if it solves all the 1AC, we are impact turning the logic of the Right to Life Act. This is our new House evidence. I made all of these arguments above the notion that we have rights as is what makes violence notable, because we exist in opposition to people and limited and also the our scholar task, even in case of this notion of rights ties personhood with the ability to choose, which means that you could exclude anyone that does not mean you're significant or is not sufficiently cognitive. He says that we do not trade off with an ontology of unity. There is a warrant for this argument, a good warrant for this argument in the 1 yard. It is also in the 2AC that that's belief that the belief in rights is what makes ontology impossible. Autonomous, self-government means you cannot have a transcendent government. I'm sorry, the scientists, they have conceded that overruling the mystery passage is the only possibility of rendering the law coherent or evidence in the case of the status quo renders the law at worst obsolete and at best unenforceable, even if it's not used the language of the business confidence link. It is my educated guess that this would destroy court predictability because the court cannot do anything coherently. This takes out the logic behind their overruling to business confidence, and the links turns the business and the business, because the mystery passage is on, as long as the business mystery passage is on the books, business cannot reasonably predict the court. He doesn't make any arguments to this to the 2 and R, and they cannot solve the link to this because it's specific to overruling the mystery passage. Now, this confidence, if we were in any risk of solving this, can't apply it always. There's this idea of not sufficiently dealt with the criticism of the decided implementation. So put the power of the fear of life, use the social body of enemies that binds us to the state. So we cannot be that wording principle. Basic point is a rational distinction begs the question. Extinction of whom? This is why Hitler was able to hail himself as humanity's benefactor, was merely exclude Jews from their conception of humanity. We should not use that language. And the ontology arguments precedes the evaluation of the design because we saw the risk of extinction of its origin. People will not fuck each other up if they believe that they participate in the same body. Not the link arguments. Their link evidence. The extent is terrible. It's obviously talking about decisions that are not about business, like commerce or environmental distinction. Is not even generic enough to encompass the 1AC. And even if you think they have evidence about overrule, you should hold in some burden of making some analytical and warranted applicability to the plan act. How when overruling the mystery passage for business confidence is a question not answered by the 2 and R. That's it. Overruling. Not overruling all case decisions. That's not true. Overruling the mystery passage. Now, the internal link argument that 2 and R does not give a warranted explanation of business confidence. Uncertainty would cause global extinction. No, or does not even give an economic argument about why it would cause a recession. There's no argument here. This is a reason that you should vote affirmative because there's not an impact. There's just said there's not a net benefit to the Canada plan because their evidence just says that it might hurt business or might cause a recession. Their impact evidence is about global economic downturn.